Welcome, everyone. We just want to welcome you to our Facebook Live broadcast today. And I'm going to ask you guys to please, when you join, go ahead and invite your friends list. Share this live video and make sure that you invite everyone. And you can also watch party this video. And we're going to give you just a few minutes to get started before we get started. I have a very special guest today, and I would just like everybody to just start inviting your friends list. We've been having some issues with Facebook, so hopefully people will start getting the message. I've asked my followers to please make sure that you check the see first prompt on the phone or on your any device, and also to make sure that you hit notifications so that you don't miss any of our live videos. So go ahead and share this video, hit watch party, and shortly we will get started. Today, my special guest that I have with me today is my sister. Her name is Toni Jean Kulpinski, and she's a board certified naturopathic practitioner, holistic health expert, member of the American Association of Drugless Practitioners, and a two-time best-selling author. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce Toni. I bring her on out, and we're going to be answering today. Toni's going to be answering some tough questions that have been, pretty much on the forefront in our country lately with this coronavirus and the different things that are going on. And so without further ado, here is Toni Jean Kulpinski. Toni Jean, I'm not sure if your sound is on. Oh, that's why. Here we go. There we go. Okay, Toni, go ahead. Sorry about that. I guess your sound wasn't on.
Okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, now we can hear you. So welcome, Toni. It's nice having you on today. This is long overdue. I know a lot of people have asked to have you on and interview you. And especially now during these times where we have this so-called pandemic going on in our country, all over the world. There has been an array of questions that people have asked. I'm sure you get them all the time. I don't know, would you like to touch a little bit on that before we get started?
Sure, definitely. I have a lot of people asking me out of fear. Many people are suffering from fear, which I really feel at this point in time is the greatest pandemic going on. The virus is definitely real. We can't deny that. There are people dying. There are people sick. There are people recovering. There are people asymptomatic that don't have any symptoms at all. So there's definitely a virus going on. And just like the flu, people have died from the flu, people have died from the common cold. But there's a lot of misconception going on. There's an evil agenda behind it, I do believe. But yes, people are reaching out to me, especially as a practitioner. My patients are reaching out, and strangers, people they don't even know, are messaging me privately to ask me different questions. But it all goes back to the immune system. Your immune system is your first line of defense against all disease, including cancer, heart disease, everything. It stands on the front line for you. So you have to take care of your immune system. It always goes back to your immune system, your first line of defense.
That's right. So yes, now we have had just different, and I myself, we've had just different viewpoints about what's happening. Personally, I feel like this pandemic was, is biochemical warfare. I believe it started in a test tube in China. I believe that it is man-made. However, that doesn't mean that you should run around with no wisdom and ignorant to the fact that something can happen to you. As a practitioner yourself, you have actually worked with patients We don't know what the tests really look like. We don't know, we didn't get to see them under a microscope. However, you have worked with many, many patients with regards to this, and we've known people personally in our sphere, so to speak, not in our own family, that have supposedly contracted COVID-19. We've even known of people in our own town and locally and so far that have died of this. Now, we do know that there's a lot of concerns going on. There's a lot of, typical corruption that has been going on, obviously, when man creates stuff like this. But this is not anything new. I mean, let's face it, there are chemtrails in the sky. We can talk about a little bit, if you can touch on the food source that's out there. There's vaccinations and so on and so forth. That man has done a number to society and the health and welfare of society. Of course, my expertise in my area is, focusing on the complete takedown of the family court and the CPS that has been one of the biggest lies ever perpetuated before mankind. Can you just kind of touch on that a little bit, with the various things that have caused families or caused people sickness instead of health? Can you touch on that?
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, I would like to reflect back on the immune system for a moment, because again, it sits on the front line for us. But where does sickness come from? What is disease? How does this occur in the body? How does anyone get very sickly? How does anyone contract cancer? How does anyone contract a virus? How does anyone develop asthma or allergies or Crohn's disease or different types of digestive disorders, thyroid conditions, skin problems, and so on and so forth, brain and neurological dysfunction? So we have a filter, and that is called the liver. The liver is the filtration system. And from the moment that we are born, we are exposed to what is known as heavy metals. Heavy metals, and I'm just going to name a few. There are many different types of heavy metals, but just to name a few, some of the heavy metals that we are exposed to that infiltrate our liver, that eventually manifest as disease in the body, are number one, vaccinations, which are full of a various amount of heavy metals. Prescription drugs like antibiotics or any prescription drug, modern day drugs, medications. Non-stick cookware, microwave usage, pesticides, genetic mutations, hair and skincare products, makeup, deodorant, anything that we put topically on our skin that is not from nature, that is not natural. And again, that's just to name a few. Chlorinated and fluorinated water, whether you're swimming in it or bathing in it, these are just some of the heavy metals that we're exposed to. Chemtrails, amalgam fillings when you go to the dentist. These are when you have your cavities filled, root canals, any kind of implants. But again, that's just to name a few. And what happens is, as we go along life, these heavy metals have an accumulative effect on our liver. And these heavy metals are food or fuel for viruses and bad bacteria. So they actually invite in viruses and bad bacteria. And if we're not doing anything nutritionally in a holistic format by using the medicines that God provided in nature, which are quite different than allopathic medicine found in the drug industry, then our bodies are going to have disease. A compromised immune system will result, and you will have disease or a disconnection of ease in the body where your organ systems will no longer work in proper order. And that's how disease manifests in the body. And unfortunately, most people believe or are led to believe that it's their genes, their immune system to blame, their hormones, or their age. But in reality, and as a practitioner, I can say that I have worked with countless people with various health conditions and helped them by educating them the connection of the infinite wisdom of nature's medicine, wildcrafted medicine, and the infinite wisdom of the immune system, and how to connect that so the body can fully recover and heal.
So Toni, I see behind you, you have several credentials on the wall behind you. Can you kind of touch a little bit on that and talk a little bit about, I know you have 2 best-selling books. You've a graduate from one of the, I think it's actually the largest school on the globe. Is that right? Can you tell us a little bit about that, so that when you lay this foundation for our viewers that really don't understand, or maybe they're very much pro-vaccine, maybe they're very pro-medicine, and they've been told, and a lot of innocent people, a lot of well-meaning people, they would understand your education level, and then how about some of the people that you've actually cured completely, not remission, completely cured of what they call incurable diseases. I think this is important for America to understand what's curable
Yes.
and so on.
Yes, well, that's a lot of questions, but I'll start with the credentials behind me, which you can't see many of them because I have a chair that has a long back and it's covering up quite a bit of them. I'm proud of those credentials because I work very hard for them. And I went to various schools. I have degrees and certifications. I'm a member of the American Association of Drugless Practitioners. I graduated from the Institute of Integrative Nutrition. I've gone to various other different types of schools. The issue here is I really do believe that my greatest credential that I obtain is my own personal journey, how I went from very sick and near death to extraordinarily healthy and remain that way. I've been on this journey for almost 13 years now, and I have lived with extraordinary health each and every day. And although I've worked very hard in many years of intense study in various holistic nutrition schools and learned from top medical doctors, believe it or not, that left the medical arena to study nutrition. I really feel, though, that my greatest credential, once again, is my own personal example that I lead by each and every day, how I live in extraordinary health. I don't get colds. I don't get any of the health issues that I suffered from many years ago, including cancer, thyroid issues, severe digestive disorders, weight issues, bone loss, panic attacks, mood swings, irritability, migraines. I mean, it goes on and on and on. I was riddled with disease, but I healed myself holistically, 100%. And I could not wait to share this message with the world. And when I started healing my body with what I call a biblically based ancient nutrition program that's founded in nature, I'm very proud of the schools that I went to, and I honor them. They're great. But when you really feel pain in your body and from suffering from vaccine damage and pesticides, and I was a hair color expert in New York City, so I was breathing in a lot of toxins. When you know what it's like to suffer, people really can relate to you more so with your own personal story and journey as your greatest credential, because you can relate to them and they can relate to you because you felt the pain as well. So when I started implementing principles that I learned that are stated clearly in scripture, my body began to heal from the very start. And I could not wait to share the message of health and healing to the world and use what we call alternative today. But these are the exact medicines that we use from the infinite of time, or the inception of time, and connected that with the infinite wisdom from nature and within the human body. So our bodies were designed to heal and live well, not go in remission, not just hold it back for a while, not beat it up with chemo or radiation, not, remove body parts. I'm talking about real healing where your own defense system works in sync with nature, but actually can heal so you can fully recover. And again, not go in remission. And that's what my patients do. They completely heal when they implement these principles stated clearly in scripture.
That's amazing. And, of course, we have a wide range of audience, people that watch, people that are atheists, people that are full-blown believers, people that question. And I'm sure that you can definitely touch on this, but, when we read the Bible, it's literally mathematically, it's scientifically perfect. There is science behind it. There is math behind it. There is historical balance to the Bible. It is a manual for life and life itself. I mean, I just personally think that the world has just so removed God from everything that we are suffering the consequences, no matter who you are, due to the lack of removing God from everything, mocking God, mocking his people, mocking his creation. His creation is very clear. It's very simple. If you really want a happy life, a happy home, health, prosperity. And I mean, prosperity comes in many forms. It's not just monetary. Prosperity means you have a happy life. You have peace in your home. Your children are raised safely, secure. Instead, we have an overreaching government. We have a government that's trying to dictate, to force vaccines into people. We have a government that's spraying chemtrails all over the place, that's destroying the crops, the food. People are up in arms because of Tyson right now. And I'm looking at that as another just food lot destruction of animals that are growing them from little babies, and overnight they're adults, hormone injecting them, and then people are eating that cancer. And now, that's not the food source you want anyway. I mean, there's so many things that we need to change in our lives individually and corporately as human beings, so that this society just stops going in the direction that it's been going. I have found this quote unquote pandemic to be a blessing in the time that we're living for, because we cannot continue to go down the same road we've been going all this time. I don't really understand why people are wishing away something that I believe is perfectly, or that is actually changing things that are corrupt and evil, to get rid of it once and for all, so that people can live a prosperous and healthy life. What is your take on that?
I fully believe in my heart, and I've not read this anywhere. God just puts this in my heart. And I believe it's in the hearts of many people as they awaken, that we are in a time of revival right now. Earth is reviving. Families are uniting. We're cooking home. We're not in fast food window chains. We're not in restaurants. I mean, I personally don't eat that way anyway, but the world is definitely becoming more health conscious. The world is realizing that, you know, the love of money is the root of all evil. And I'm going to quote, money is not the root of all evil. God wants us to have life and have it more abundantly. But the love of money is the root of all evil. When you look at people and all you see is dollar signs in their eyes, and you would do anything to, you know, get money from them in a malicious way. But I do really believe that we are in a time of awakening. And referring to factory farming for a moment, I have a chapter in my first book, which was the most difficult chapter for me to write, in reference to factory farming. So when you see livestock being abused for food, I really feel like God is shutting down the doors in those areas. We took God out of everything. The churches, the schools, the churches and the schools are now closed. We took, you know, God out of the home. I mean, there's so much that God has been removed from. We took God out of the equation, and then we question, you know, where are you, Lord? Why are you allowing all this? But maybe it's because he's still here, because God said, I'll never leave you or forsake you. But we've removed him out of the equation here. And it's time that we, as the body of Christ, have to get him back in. So I really do have to agree with you that this is definitely a time of revival. And many viewers may be watching right now saying, wow, how could she say that? It's such a dark time. But God will use anything. Genesis 50:20 says, you intended to harm me, but God turned it around for his glory. And now what is being done is the savings of many lives. Think about that scripture. So we are definitely in an awakening. We are in a revival right now, because people are awakening to truth, and the light shines much brighter in the darkness. Think about that.
I mean, all throughout history, the greatest revivals always came birthed out of a lot of darkness and despair. Right. And it's sad to me. I keep telling everybody, continue to pray for the innocent and the blood on the door, so to speak, of the innocent. But let God do his work against this corruption and these corrupt people. Okay, there's just so far that they should be allowed to go. There is nothing in the Bible that says to continue to pray for mercy for these evil people, and they are wildly wicked. So we have to know that, you know, we have to continue to pray for the innocent. Yes, innocent lives are being taken. And that should make us even more righteous, give us more righteous indignation that as they've done this, but God is using it, and he uses all things, like you said, for good. And what we're witnessing right now before us, we're living in very historical times. I know that myself and so many that I'm surrounded by that are advocates, that we have fought so hard the good fight. You know, we've gone right into Congress, and we've gone before assemblies, and we've gone before politicians, and they've ignored us, and they've deaf-eared us, and they've mocked, and they've continued to do this damage. We have completely and 100% tied the link to the family court and CPS and these fraudulent attorneys and child attorneys that have done nothing short of endangered our children, risked our lives, risked their lives, took from our livelihoods and everything that we work for the mighty dollar, and to child traffic and family traffic. Now, all of this stuff is wicked. That's just the bottom line. I personally believe that we need to be educated on all of this. We need to take a stand. I'm seeing all these people, all over the place now, fighting for their constitutional rights to open up and to this and that. And I understand that. And I believe in fighting for our right that should never be taken. Our God-given right should never be taken. But use wisdom at the same time. Use wisdom, because they are doing biochemical warfare against us. You go outside and you do feel a sense of not breathing properly out there, because there are chemicals in the air. I mean, I do notice a difference out there in the atmosphere. I know that the earth is healing and so on because there's less people. I find it amazing. I find it like, we're not fools, but we're treated like we are, because now all of a sudden your narrative has changed and you're going to start opening up. So they're claiming the numbers are dropping. But I'm going to say this, and I have to emphasize this. If this is really a pandemic, and I'm not going to say if, because there is definitely issues, but we have all kinds of stuff that kills people out there. Okay. And we've had it higher numbers than this. But the point is that if this really is, then those numbers are going to shoot up so badly because people are getting back together. And there needs to be wisdom in what we're doing. We need to not put it all in one side or the other. We have to use our brains in all of this. Wickedness is not something that has a rhyme or a reason. It just has an agenda. So we have to be very wise in our own individual decision making for ourselves and our families. I'm happy to see the protest, because I think that what this is doing is that people thought, oh, that doesn't happen to me at family court. No, this happens to a lot of nice, normal people. This doesn't happen to me in CPS. No, this happens to a lot of protective, loving families. It's a very serious issue. And now your lives are being invaded because all of a sudden you lost your jobs or you lost your business overnight. Okay, now you're going, oh, wait, it can happen to me. Where children are being snagged from doctors and nurses right now. Okay, like they're actually showing that it's beyond an overreaching government. It's even way past that. And it's time that massive changes come to the earth. I personally believe it is going to be the largest awakening we've ever seen. I believe that people need to start changing their hearts. Humility comes before honor. Okay, and that's a very important keynote. Humility comes before honor, and pride comes before a fall. And we're in that time right now. And there's a lot of arrogant people that are full of pride that think they're perfect, they've got it all, they're good, there's nothing wrong with them. And it's gonna be a very rude awakening for these people, especially if you have a relationship with God. You better not be lukewarm anymore. You know, it's very serious. But everybody, just please continue to share this, because I have a couple of questions I want to ask Toni that I get, and I'm sure you get. One of them being, Toni, that well, you're fine, you got vaccinated. How would you answer that? You're fine, you got vaccinated.
Do you get asked that question as well? I get asked that question all the time.
I get that kind of thrown at me every now and then as well, and I'm just like, you know, I've never seen except for people that eat properly and do the right things. People that don't do that are not in perfect health. They're not in perfect health. So that would be my answer. But go ahead.
Well, you know, as a holistic naturopathic practitioner, I can say I get asked that question initially. Then they learn and they understand. It's almost like an awakening to them when they hear how unwell they are. And sometimes people don't know how unwell they are until they get well. And I hear a lot of my patients say, wow, I didn't realize how unwell or sick I was until I started feeling great under your care. So think about that. So we're really dumbed down as a nation as to what healthy eating is, and you know, what it really is like to feel good, and how to really eat well. Most people don't even have a clue on eating healthy. They think if someone is an athlete and they were healthy and they got sick anyway, oh, well, that person's a runner, or that person's young. Well, age is not a prerequisite to disease, and neither is your standard American diet, even the watered down, you know, so-called healthy version of it. So again, I repeat, until you start really living in extraordinary health like myself and my patients do, then you'll know the difference then. But when I get asked that question quite often, I have the ability to do what is called visual diagnostics. So I'm just going to put that aside for a moment. Visual diagnostics is something that anybody can do. It's not magic. I'm not a psychic. It has nothing to do with any of that. It's a modality that's been used for centuries, and you can actually look at people and tell them what's going on without even looking at their health assessment form. You don't have to know their current health history or what kind of sickness or medications they're on. You can actually look at them and actually, you know, learn through their eyes, their hands, underneath their eyes, the whites of their eyes, certain areas of the face. Face mapping is what it's called in visual diagnostics. Their tongue can tell so much. It's the largest muscle in the body, which goes all the way into your colon. So you can see quite a bit of what's going on internally just by doing some visual diagnostics. And when I tell people what I see, they're blown away. And again, anyone can learn this. I'm not a psychic. I'm not, you know, reading their minds.
So in other words, what you're saying, Toni, in other words, what you're saying is that, like, if they had a medical history and you didn't look at that medical history, but you just looked at them, you could tell them exactly what's on that medical history, and then they're blown away by it.
Yes. And say, for an example, that is correct, Fran, but say, for an example, I'm working with somebody, I have many patients on the phone, because not only because of what's going on right now, that everyone is on the phone or FaceTime, but I work with about 50% of my patients are on the phone anyway because they live out of state. So if I'm not able to see someone for some reason, maybe they don't have internet access or whatever, or they're learning or they're inquiring for the first time and speaking to me over the phone, just inquiring about who I am, what I do. And they'll say, well, I'm not, I've been vaccinated. I don't have anything wrong with me. And then when I start to tell them certain side effects or effects of vaccination, they'll say, wow, yeah, I do have allergies. Wow, yeah, I did have that. Wow, yeah, I do have dyslexia or whatever. Then they start to, the awakening starts to come out and they realize the connection, because you see, there's something else here going on with vaccination. There are immediate reactions, and then there are long-term reactions. A vaccination, the toxoids, the heavy metals from the vaccines, can stay in your cells and tissues of your body up to 7 to 10 years after vaccination. And then if you're continuing to get vaccinated, then you're going to have other effects. So vaccines in general do not immunize. They don't give you immunity, they compromise. And I am not against somebody doing something to build their immune system, because that's what I do as a holistic expert. But when you're using toxins through a modern day vaccination to so-called get antibodies against a disease, your immune system wasn't even designed to work that way. So everyone that is vaccinated is affected. But also do remember that the absence of disease, just because somebody doesn't have a diagnosis, doesn't mean that they're healthy. Just because you're not sick doesn't mean you're healthy. If you're consuming pesticides and GMOs and you're not juicing, you're not eating organic, you're not eating the way nature intended, you're not taking whole food, wild crafted supplements that have always been here, then your body is not going to be healthy. Again, I'm going to repeat this, so hopefully it seeps in there, that just because somebody is not sick doesn't mean that they're healthy. The absence of disease is not the definition of healthy. The definition of healthy is the presence of greatness all the time. You don't have insomnia, you don't have night sweats, you don't have mood swings, you don't get colds, you don't get flus, you don't get things. You stay well because your defenses are optimized. You're immunized by nature, not by a toxic drug injection. And when you finally feel great, then you'll realize how unhealthy you were.
That makes perfect sense. And, for example, my son, most of our children in our family, nobody was vaccinated. Nobody had an ear infection. They went to the doctor once a year for like a well care checkup for school, or, pretty much that's what we've seen throughout. We've never seen a sore throat. We've never seen even the common cold in a lot of cases. I'm not saying that you could be 100% healthy and maybe catch something, but it goes away quickly if you do,
okay,
or not at all.
Please allow me to
or not at all.
It's okay to get a cold and your body will detect things. Your body will detect pathogens. That's what your immune system does. It will find an intruder, and then your own immune system will create antibodies against that naturally to combat the intruder. So it's okay to get a cold or something. That doesn't mean that you're an unhealthy person or you're never going to get anything like that. Believe it or not, that's how you build immunity. When people got the measles on their own, my mom had the measles, our mother had the measles, my grandmother had it, my aunts had it. They're alive and well today. Our mother's almost 80. I mean, she's 76. She's going to shoot me for that one if she's watching. But my point is she's not on any medications. I mean, it's fascinating.
Not even one.
So,
not even one medication. Okay.
It's okay to get these things, because like you just said, the duration is shortened and the severity is lessened because of the way you take care of your body. You can get something and have it really quickly. Whereas even look at with this virus that's going on, as we're discussing, most people recover. You're not hearing about deaths of cancer anymore. You're not hearing about anyone dying of heart disease. Everything is just coronavirus today. And although there are countless people getting it, we're not in denial of that. It's definitely real. This man-made evil virus with an evil agenda behind it is real. There's no question about it. Yeah. But the ones that are not getting it, I mean, I was exposed to it 5 weeks ago, and praise you, Jesus, I didn't even get a sniffle because of my immune system. So, that's my point. It all reflects back at the immune system, and you do not immunize through a modern day drug injection. That's the bottom line. Why would they have to be mandated or forced if it were something good for you? Think about that.
that makes perfect sense. Why would they force anything? First of all, that's a very scary thought that in our country that we'd be forced to have injections in our body, or
It's against
our children
constitutional
or
rights.
our children going backwards and being segregated from the same schools we pay taxes to also. And
Correct.
completely being segregated. That is absolutely, and listen, if their vaccines work so good, they would not be afraid of our healthy, unvaccinated children. That doesn't, it's the most insanity. It's like if I was in a cage and you had an animal out there, I wouldn't be afraid of that animal because I'm in a cage, I'm protected. So if you know, like it's foolishness, it's absolute foolishness. And it is a forced agenda, and it's very dangerous to society. People need to wake up. They need to wake up, and they need to get educated. And I see the arguments out there, and they're not conversations. They're not educated conversations. They're literally almost a mocking argument. If they don't like
repeated misinformation is what it is.
Repeated misinformation. But the people that believe that, instead of having an educated conversation with you about it, right away, you're just one of the, I mean, I hear this all the time. I don't know if you do. You're just one of those people that use essential oils. Well, I mean, I think it's almost comical to say something so ridiculous because, well, how about let's look at the difference in the people. Let's look at the difference in the people like us that don't do the vaccinations, that eat the organic food, and how healthy and young we are and look compared to 20-year-olds. And yet, let's look at the difference between people out there, and they're constantly sick, all right, constantly going through one cold after the other, or all kinds of other invasive drugs, invasive operations, and everything else. I mean, if you really wanted to do your own study, you'd be blown away. And I don't think you'd say that anymore. Oh, they're the essential oil people. It's silliness. It's absolute silliness. I don't see anything intelligent behind it. You're taught when you go to college to weigh the facts. You're taught to, to do an intelligent surmise of what you're going to make a decision on. You don't just take it one side or the other. And anything in this life, if you're going to just insist that your way is right and you're not going to look into the facts, but you're not going to have
intelligent. It's unintelligent. The Bible says in Hosea 4:6, my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. But you see, I'm not angry with those people because I'm fighting for them, not fighting, against them by no means. My heart goes out to them. I have a love and compassion for people as you do. And I stand on the front line for everyone, despite of what's going on in this world, because I know the truth, and the truth will set you free. And I hear first and foremost from God, and anybody can, but I think we're talking too much. And the problem is that those people treat others the way they really feel about themselves. And when I have a cancer patient, and there's been numerous, you see it all over my timeline, there's testimonies galore with real people tagged and their picture, whether it's an animal or a human. I have MS patients completely reversed. I mean, I have Tina that was just with me yesterday, who told me about her complete testimony yesterday. I hope she's watching right now. We're going to post her second part of her testimony, who she is now completely cured after all of her life.
Well, let's go back. Let's go back to that. That is an absolute amazing thing. People think that you can never heal MS, but yet I've seen it in your practice over and over. So
and these
tell the audience.
People. And they're healed with God's medication, not pharmaceutical, and they get off their medications. But when I have a cancer patient, this is important to hear. When I have a cancer patient that in 7 months fully healed of cancer, Nick, and he's just one of many. We have brain cancer, glioblastoma. It doesn't matter. Patients that have these disorders. But Nick, for example, came to me not 7 months ago. It was took 7 months for him to get well. He was riddled with cancer. He was loaded with it. Didn't even know he had cancer. He thought he had pneumonia. He went to the hospital, and it turned out he had lung cancer. And it was metastasized everywhere at that point, where the doctors they felt there was nothing that they can do. Long story short, he went 100% holistic. He did not deviate from anything that I told him to do. And it was a lot of work, mega dosages of nutrition, juicing, everything, lots of, all God-made foods. And just, I tailored a program for his specific needs. But my point is this. The doctors wanted to send him home to die. They said, get your papers in order. I am repeating what the doctor said to him, what Nick told me. Get your papers in order because there's nothing we can do. And he had 15 malignant tumors in his brain, and his rest of his body was loaded with cancer. You could find his testimony on my timeline. He's tagged in it. His family's commenting in it, and his picture is there standing next to me. And he had a full body scan, and there was no cancer left. And then a week later, he had a head CT scan because they wanted to do the 2 separate scans. And there was only 1 small tumor left in his brain. And the other 14 were completely gone because we just needed a little bit more time. and now he is free of cancer. So I just wanted to make that announcement, and just how wonderfully excited and happy and blessed I feel. But the compassion for people is why I do what I do. Again, my greatest credential is my own personal journey, how I went from very sick to extraordinarily healthy and stayed that way. So I could lead by my own example and share this message with the world and those that want to learn. But again, Fran, my heart goes out to those people that are in denial of real cures, the cures that have always been here. They're found in nature. We don't have to search for them. There's the healing modalities are here.
Toni, you've told me this often, we've talked often, and everybody that's watching, this is my sister, my blood sister, Toni. If you haven't seen this from the beginning, I definitely recommend that you go back and watch this. This will be aired as a premiere on YouTube, on the Punish for Protecting YouTube channel. If you missed the beginning, go back and watch it, or just, watch it back on Facebook. Please be sure to share this with everyone. People need to hear this, how they can live in health, how they can live in peace, things that you're desperately in need of in this time and age. But Toni, I go through this too, because I deal with a lot of clients like you do. Mine is different, obviously, but it's for the health of our families and children in our society that has overstepped and overreached and is destroying them, destroying us as a nation, trying to anyway. But one of the things I noticed is sometimes, and I've heard you say this, like in the place of just trying to help them with their very own health, the first place you have to deal with is their mind. So, and it's the same thing in my situation with whatever people are going through. And of course, there's a lot of traumas. There's a lot of reasons behind it. But I have the same thing that I go through as well, where you're having to deal with the person's mind first. Can you elaborate on that so that somebody that's watching right now, so they can get the help they need in order to have a better life and a healthier life?
Well, that's a great question. The first thing that I ask someone when they come to me is, I ask them many different questions. We, communicate with each other, but the most important question that I ask is, because they're so excited about meeting me. Everyone comes from a referral or as a referral because they heard someone else's extraordinary testimony. So they want it too. But the first thing I ask them is, do you believe that your body can heal? Because your body can heal, but it's the mind that you've got to convince. Okay. Mm-hmm. If you don't believe, then you're not going to take the necessary steps to put forth to heal the body, because I don't come home with you and tie you up and feed you. You have to not only believe that your body can heal, but you have to implement the principles. So that is one of the biggest challenges in what I do is, it's the mind that people have to really understand that they have to take action. There's no magic herb out there that's just going to make everything go away. We've got to remove the causes. We've got to clean out the liver. We've got to get the digestion working again. So your immune system, all your organ systems can work in proper order. And that is what we call homeostasis. So yes, it's all about the mind. If somebody is not going to, if they don't, number one, believe in this, if they're just looking for a quick fix, it's not going to happen. You don't just heal overnight. I don't just have a healing modality. One size fits all. It doesn't work that way. And it's the same thing with the medical profession. You don't just chop out an organ when they come in with cancer and say, we got it all. They're cured. That would be wonderful. You actually have to go through healing. And again, it's the mind you have to convince to educate them. I consider myself an educator way over a practitioner or a health coach, because more importantly, I have to educate them on why their pasteurized dairy is poison, why the vaccinations are harming you when you were told differently. I understand you're afraid because you were conditioned otherwise. I get it. My heart, I sympathize. I have compassion for people, and even the ignorance, because it's how they've been brainwashed. So, there's so much unlearning that people have to do, as I did. And that's how they're going to be convinced enough that this works and that they can start implementing the principles so they can get well.
It's absolutely the unlearning. And I want to go back to because I keep hearing this a lot. I keep hearing it in my spirit a lot. Pride comes before fall. Pride is a deadly sin. It really is. It's a deadly sin. God said so, and it's obvious.
Definitely.
And humility comes before honor. Humility comes before honor. I think that's really important, that I think we should all gather, whether you're trying to take good care of your body and your temple and heal it, or whether you're going through a family court crisis right now, which look at how God has shaken the family courts down, my friends. There's just so far people can go. And then obviously you have to allow God to take over in your life. And I think that the most courageous thing anybody can do, because I believe everybody came out of either very large degrees or small degrees or some degree of pain and suffering in their past, from childhood and up to the place you are right now. I think it is urgently important at this time in our lives to drop the pride. Just drop the pride. And that, what I mean by that is give your life over to him so that he can orchestrate it and illustrate it in a way that will bring you peace, health, safety, and blessings. And you'll be surprised. And it's a difficult thing to do for people when they're riddled with fear. And some people will go, I don't have fear. You have fear if you can't release your life to God. Then you do have fear. And that might be hard to hear, but somebody needs to hear that today. So in order to drop the pride, you got to get rid of the fear. And in order to get rid of the fear, you have to take a willingness, whether you can do it. You can't do it in your own strength, but whether you do it just by trying and make a decision to say, you know what, I don't know how to do this, God, but I'm going to turn my life over to you. I'm going through some hellish situations right now. I don't know how to protect my children. We all have to go through this. I don't know how to take care of my health. I don't know how to do this. I don't know. And it's okay. But please give me the wisdom and show me and direct me and lead me. I don't have the money to feed myself organic food, but I want to do this, Lord. And I know that this is the right thing, and he'll provide. He'll provide in a drought. He'll provide if you don't have a job. He will always meet you where you're at as long as you're willing to do the right thing that he has for you. And I promise you, if you do this, you will feel a burden lift you and you will have joy in your heart.
Amen.
And give him a chance is all I can say. Give him a chance and learn from this. God has put people in our paths that are like experts in health, like Toni or what have you. The situation may be, the person that may be placed in a life, and there's a reason for it. And so humble yourselves, okay? Because it's a good thing. And it is a courageous thing. It means you are a strong person. You're weak if you're prideful. You're weak if you're pretending you don't have fears. That doesn't make you a strong person. And it's not good for you. And the only way you're going to get rid of the past is if you let God get rid of the past and you accept it and you acknowledge it so that you can move into a healthy future. And I think that, there was a lot of reasons I want to interview you today. We're touching on various topics, but all these topics concern the lives of families and people, which is all we really are. And at the end of the day, at the end of every day, it's you have to live with, and it's your family that you have to, provide for or live for. And it's the most important things in this world. And I think that's what God is doing in this hour, is simplifying all of our lives. Today in society, if you were the wealthiest king on the earth or dirt poor, everybody's equal right now because there's one pandemic and it's touching all lives. And I think that that's a really good thing. So I do have another question for you, Toni. And this question is, and I've seen that there's even generic shots, and we don't have to really get too much into that. And there's name brand shots. But a lot of people think, well, my child got shots and they didn't die. They were fine. But then the next child gets autism, or the next child literally dies, sudden infant death syndrome, or what have you, or asthma, allergies. I don't think they realize, I think they think that this is part of life, is to have allergies and asthma and all this stuff. It's not. These are the harms that have been caused. And because it's happened for so long, they think this is the norm, but that's not the norm. That's not the norm. So just because one child didn't die, I really don't think that the devil is going to kill every single last person in one vaccine. Just like if you pull through McDonald's, you're not going to get cancer the first time you eat a burger, but 20 burgers later, you may, so would you touch on that a little bit?
God did not make us defaulty. He didn't make us, imperfect. We were created in the image of God, and he didn't make us imperfect. He made us like him. And fortunately, we have this immune system that God gave us to extend his love to us. That's how much God loves us. He gave us an immune system. Just think about that. And it doesn't have a deficiency in vaccinations as to the reasons why people get sick. We have a deficiency in minerals and superfoods and phytonutrients and antioxidants and anthocyanins and nature-made medicine that God provided, not big pharma, okay? So the bottom line here is that it all goes back to our immune system, our first line of defense, how to take care of it, how to take care of our bodies, how to get in sync with nature so we don't have to be sick. I have patients, if you go up and down my timeline to reflect back on what Fran is saying, you will see real moms talking about their children who were immunized damaged. One in particular, just about a week ago, that I posted. And she had asked me to leave her name anonymous due to personal issues with an ex. So we're not going to get into that. But her entire family comes to me and has come to me for nutritional counseling. Her mom, herself, her 3 children, her husband, and an aunt, and they're all doing phenomenal. But she has 3 children, and the oldest is vaccinated and was very badly damaged by vaccinations. And she still struggles with him today, but he is like 80%, and she quoted that, 80% better following this program. He's like a different child. He's not on any medications. He's not in any special classes anymore. But the bottom line is she's got 3 children, just as Fran was saying. She has 3 children. 1 was immunized damage, and the other 2 she did not vaccinate because she learned her lesson on what these vaccinations, these heavy metals, these toxoids, as the Centers of Disease Control words it, were not given to her other children, and she does not deal with any health challenges with her 2 younger children. Because yes, first of all, she does feed them organically grown foods. They eat the way they're supposed to be eating, so they're not inflicted with pesticides and GMOs. But what a difference where she did not have to try to heal them from any vaccine damage. Now, I have also seen adults vaccine damage, that ones that continue to get the flu vaccine every year, the ones that continue to get shingles shot, pneumonia shot. There are adult vaccinations as well, especially what they're trying to push on us now, that have gotten severely immunized damage. It's not just children. I also work with cats and dogs. I work with the people's pets who are also vaccine damaged. I've had dogs and I do not vaccinate them, and I cannot even believe the difference in their health. They don't deal with the health issues that other dogs and cats deal with. But the good news is that the body can heal itself as long as you convince the mind to take the necessary steps to do it, because your body is magnificent and your immune system will, in relation to allergies or asthma, which is rampant today from vaccines and pesticides and GMOs, you are always getting an immune response. What is an allergy? An allergy is when your body detects something that's foreign, that it doesn't recognize. Could be pesticides, could be GMOs. That's why people are allergic to certain foods. It's not the food that they're allergic to, they're allergic to what we've done to the food. So the immune system creates antibodies against the invader and tries to attack it. So your immune system isn't attacking you, as the medical profession puts it. Autoimmune means the immune system is attacking what is attacking you. But your immune system is always under attack when you're constantly vaccinating, you're constantly eating pesticides, you're constantly eating pasteurized dead dairy, you're constantly eating modern grains, you're constantly using the microwave, you're cooking in nonstick cookware, you're drinking chlorinated water, you're getting fluoride treatments, you're eating processed foods, you're eating hormone-laden drugged up meats and dairy. So there's so much that you can, and I talk about all this in my first book. It's an awakening. So the bottom line is
it is an awakening. It is an awakening, and it's infuriating to me because of the field I work in when I see, and I'm not saying this to be mean, but I see overweight, very unhealthy child attorneys, gray-skinned and just overweight and fairly young, overweight and sickly, or attorneys or judges that are sickly, and they're going to tell you how to raise your children, and they're going to tell you what's healthy for your children when A, they 99% of the time don't even have kids, and B, you can look at them. I don't have to have your background. I can see that they're not healthy. They're clearly not healthy. But what are some of the ingredients in these vaccines? What are some of the ingredients? I know that they deny it, but what is the truth? What is inside these vaccines?
I actually posted a very long list quite a while ago, but I'll name just a few. Aborted fetal matter or tissue, aluminum, mercury, antifreeze. These are not.
Did you just say antifreeze like you put in the car?
I did say antifreeze. That's correct.
Wow, and they were upset that Trump said disinfectant, and there's antifreeze in the stuff that they inject in their bodies. Go ahead.
That's a whole other story.
I know, it's a joke.
The bottom line is that in order to get an immune system response, let me just explain something. The theory behind vaccination, will say over 100 years ago, 100 years ago or so, the theory behind vaccination made sense to stimulate an immune response. But I want you to listen clearly now, to stimulate the immune system to get a response against a disease. So your immune system can actually target that disease where the disease won't target you and kill you or cause a problem on your body. So the theory behind vaccination, in my professional opinion, was actually very intelligent. So, but the vaccinations, which were not called vaccinations back then, okay, they were an arm-to-arm type of inoculation. And what that means is they used what nature provided. Nature provides everything that we need to work in sync with our immunological response against invaders, so to speak. So those vaccines worked. But again, they weren't called vaccines, but I'm referring to them as a vaccine to make people understand what I'm speaking of. Nowadays, in the last 100 years or so, it's probably about 105 years to be exact, the pharmaceutical industry is quite new. Wildcrafted medicine has been around since the beginning of time, but modern day vaccination and allopathic drug injections, allopathic medication, known as the pharmaceutical industry modalities, have only been around about 100 years or so. And they have been known to cause great harm on the immune system because your immune system wasn't intended the way a vaccine was intended to work, relating in more disease rather than building immunity. So when you're vaccinated, you're not only causing your immune system to either become overreactive, but it can be also become underreactive. And that's when people start to develop things like hypo or hyperthyroidism, hypo or hyper blood glucose issues like hypoglycemia, hyperglycemia. So there's a lot of different immunological disturbances that occur when we vaccinate with modern day toxins. And if you really want to see the list of toxins or heavy metals in which they are, you can go to the Centers of Disease Control because they list them. And they also list the side effects because years ago, this is another reason why people believe that they were not immunized damage, that they were vaccinated, but nothing happened to them. But they have to understand two things. Years ago, when somebody was immunized damage, quote unquote, they would actually poo-poo it under the carpet because God forbid you questioned authority. Someone like myself would have been shot instantly. So you did not question authority back then. Nowadays, people are doing way more than questioning authority. We have access to the internet. We have access to so much information today. And although some of it is misinformation, a lot of it is true. And the naturopathic remedies are being unraveled. People are searching. They're tired of being sick and tired. They're tired of being at the mercy of invasive testings, another drug, never having an answer, going to the doctor, not feeling well, and they never find anything wrong with you. Because they can't find anything wrong with you because holistically your body is out of, mind, body, spirit. Your body is out of homeostasis. Nothing is working in proper order. Their testings aren't even going to understand that, but they'll give you a drug. But people are tired of that kind. So they're doing their own research. They're becoming their own health advocates. And the other thing is that people are also at a point where they're tired of seeing their children sick. They're tired of seeing their children going on all kinds of drugs, inhalers, steroids, different types of antibiotics constantly. So again, people are becoming their own advocates and getting well that way. And they're going to more holistic practitioners like myself and getting healed, not just putting the disease back, not just going in remission. Doctors will even tell you, oh, this is normal. You're just going to have this for the rest of your life, or it's autoimmune, because it's a great cover up to prescribe a drug, unfortunately. And I want to add one thing here. I do not sit here and put down doctors. I absolutely love medical doctors. When I was in nutrition school, to see other medical doctors as students, I just found that so rewarding. They're lovely people. And they were also a lot of them that were my instructors. A good 75% of the instructors in nutrition school were MDs who left the medical arena to do this because they were tired of seeing their patients sick and tired and at the mercy of these so-called treatments. But the good news is that I also have medical doctors that come to me as patients now because their patients are getting healed under my care. And I don't take any of that glory. I give all the glory to God because without God, I couldn't do any of this. It is absolutely fascinating what God has put upon my heart to help his people heal. But most importantly, heal from the indoctrination and the conditioning, the poisoning of the mind that has led people to believe that all diseases are incurable, or that your age is a prerequisite to disease, or it's your hormones, or it's your immune system that's faulty, or that it's your genes that have made you sick. But the bottom line is none of that is true. It's what we're eating, what we're drinking, what we're believing, what we're speaking, the power of the tongue, and what we're conditioned to do. It's indoctrination. And once we're set free from that, the truth will clearly and truly set you free.
And I want to kind of piggyback off of that because I, as you know, Toni, I worked for years and years in an industry of modeling and film and all that. And, you know, I do it because I enjoy it. I do enjoy the art behind it, but my passion is to help families, because I don't believe we're going to have a country if we don't take care of this big, giant pink elephant in the room, the family court CPS, biggest lie ever told, you know. And again, like I said to you before, the food industry, the drug industry, the pharmaceutical industry, all of this other stuff, it's all very much interrelated. And so I gave that up. In a sense, I still do it, but I give that up and I sacrifice for this, so that my children and children's children will have a future, and your children's children will have a future. Because then nobody's going to have a career or a life or an art or, you know, or anything. And the reason I'm saying that is because my passion goes farther than that. My passion goes to the fact that the people that are watching right now, I feel that this is going to touch so many lives in so many different ways, that you really, I can't emphasize it enough, to simplify who you are. Get rid of toxic people from your life. I believe God would want you to do that, because I believe that that would just pull you down, drag you down. People that don't appreciate you. Okay, we've heard the saying quite often that says, don't be how does that saying go? You know, be a priority. Don't be just like a second choice, or there's a name for it, there's a word. And I really want to emphasize that right now. Don't just be a second thought to somebody. Be a priority. Treat people the way you want to be treated. And if they don't treat you that way, 86 them. It comes a time that you have to
don't fit in, fit out. Don't fit in.
Yeah, fit out, and you will draw
here to make a difference.
Yourself. Absolutely, and you will draw to yourself better people. Now, in some instances, and this is something I've had to learn on my own, we've had to deal with people. We don't know why we're before these judges. We don't know why we're before these toxic people. We don't know why. You know, sometimes we make a mistake. We choose wrong. But we shouldn't suffer that the rest of your life. So we come before, and many of my people that watch, you know, follow me, you guys know this. I know the suffering a lot of you are still going through, trying to protect your children. But I think that we need to all come to a place. I think we all really need to come to a place, because I do a lot of contemplating and praying, where I don't know why I feel like I have to keep saying this over and over today. Pride comes before a fall, and humility comes before honor. Please really take that into your hearts today. Ask him to take over, because we can't do this in our own strength. The bottom line is, we have removed God from everything, that nobody really has a visual of what he really wanted us to have on this earth. We don't get to see that beautiful picture, because the earth has been destroyed. The air has been destroyed. God has been taken out. When people say he was taken out of the courts, there was never supposed to be a court, but he was taken out of the schools. He's taken out of the church. He's taken out of your heart. Please, please try to bring him back, because I believe that's what he's been knocking at and trying to get to do. And stop thinking you have all the answers. None of us do. We can only go as far as he allows us. And then we have to allow him, or I shouldn't even say allow him, to take over. And he will make your natural supernatural. He will make your ashes beauty. He will make your bad times good. He will use your victimship, excuse me, and turn it into victory. Okay, we can't do that. That's where he takes over. He will lead, he will guide, but you have to give it up and stop thinking that you have all the answers, or that your way is the only way, without listening to those that were put on the front lines to guide and direct you, because there's a reason that certain people have the knowledge that they have. There's a reason that God put certain people in your life. You know, a lot of people I see, I know personally, you know personally, they're praying for somebody. They're praying, oh God, I wish you'd bring somebody into my life to love me, or to love my children, or to help me, or to heal me, and when they get that person, they don't appreciate that person. Okay. So, you know, these are just some things. I don't know who I'm talking to out there right now. I know that God knows, and he talks through us. You know, stop for a minute, take a moment, contemplate, pray, turn it all over to him. You know, and repent simply means to turn away from what you're doing that's not working. Repent means to turn away from sin, meaning turn away from what is not good for you, what's not blessing you, what's not bringing you peace, and embrace what God has put in front of you and thank him for it, and then nurture it, treat it good, bless it, and go forward in life. And I think that we need to all do that as individuals and corporately in our country and in our world. I think we need to start being more humble. I think we need to start loving our neighbors, loving the people in our lives, Okay, it's important, guys. Please take this very seriously. That's my
Nice.
word for today. So
Yes.
Toni, tell them how they can reach you. Tell them how they can get a consultation or whatever. How they can reach you about the food as well. I know that you're doing a website right now. Tonijeans Picks. Is that right?
I'll take
No.
over.
Sorry. Go
So I
ahead.
have an online health food store. It's called ToniJeanApproved.com. Food comes,
That's right.
food and supplements are delivered right to your door. But what is Toni Jean approved, and what exactly does it mean? So the foods that healed me and the foods that I consume each and every day, and whole food supplements. When you go to certain restaurants, or you go to so-called healthy restaurants, or healthy health food stores, or places that's supposed to have healthy foods and supplements, you're still finding things in them that don't belong, like processed dairy, canola oil, safflower oil, soy. These things are deadly to us. Refined sugars, artificial sweeteners. You might see some organic things, but then you're seeing some bad things. ToniJeanApproved.com is an online health food store that my lovely partners, Carolyn and Jeff, put together. The three of us work so hard every day on this. So you don't have to read the ingredients. Now you can if you want to, but everything is made by God, left in the form God created, and approved by God, and good enough for you and me. So if you go to ToniJeanApproved.com, you will learn its ongoing education, recipes, videos, audios, and food and supplements that will be delivered right to your door for reasonable prices. I am a board certified holistic practitioner. I have the honor and privilege each and every day of my life to work with countless people that are suffering from anything and everything. There's not anyone that I can't work with. There's not a disease that I cannot work with. It's whether or not people can actually work with me, because I listen to my boss, and my boss is God. He gives me the tools, the wisdom, everything that I need to help people embark on this journey so they can also live disease-free, pain-free, start sleeping soundly, no more pain in your body, no more cancer, no more digestive disorders, no more panic attacks, no more brain and neurological dysfunction, children without attention deficit anymore, no more immunized damage, animals that are set free from sickness, eczema, psoriasis, lupus, so much lupus I'm seeing get reversed, MS, it doesn't matter. But I see people, and you could go to, my information is also at stopbattlingdisease.com. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram. You can also call my office at 845, that is the area code, 245-3933. Again, that's 845-245-3933. I offer telephone appointments for those that live far. Everyone is a telephone appointment currently, and also in-office appointments once this pandemic clears up. We can get back into our lives, but better than ever, because God has to be the foundation of our lives in order for us to conquer anything. The Lord said, vengeance is mine. So hold back your anger, hold back your fear. God didn't give you a spirit of fear. He gave you love, power, and a sound mind. I wouldn't be here today to deliver this message of great health while in my temple of great health each and every day if I didn't put God first. I do want to mention something to you. I also have 2 books that could be purchased at ToniJeanApproved.com or Amazon, but I want to mention something very important to you. Reflecting back to doctors for a moment, I find doctors are fascinating and amazing people, and I have some very close friends who are MDs. I have friends that are osteopaths, OBGYN obstetrician, I have cardiologists, I have veterinarians, and all these different types of doctors that come to me as patients and have become very good friends of mine, and who are obviously very open to the holistic world. And it's just incredibly amazing to go back to the original medicine. God made medicine. Medicine's been around forever, but it's not the same medicine in the pharmaceutical industry that actually manages disease, by the way. But I don't put down doctors. So if anyone ever thinks that way, I don't know if anyone thinks that way, but in the event you do, please allow me to clarify for a moment. Medical doctors are great at emergency care. Even I would call 911 if I broke my foot or I fell off a building trying to pick apples or something crazy.
Trying to fly.
Yeah. So doctors are amazing. I've seen people in severe car accidents and be almost brain dead and come back to life and be completely well. And I respect and bow down to doctors. I think they're incredible people, and they are. And going to several different nutrition schools myself, I now know how hard they work to get to where they are today. The problem with the medical community is that there's no healthcare in the system because of how they're taught. There's no healthcare in the system. It is a disease care management system of lies. And what they're great at is emergency care. That's what they should stick with. But it's people like myself that need to be on the front line doing what we do, because that's really how you can get completely healed over time, by healing the body, not band-aiding it, not taking drugs to artificially lower your cholesterol, artificially lower your blood pressure, artificially lower your thyroid hormones, and so on and so forth. I mean, there's drugs out there that suppress your immune system. So you no longer have Crohn's disease, but you still have Crohn's disease. So the bottom line is the body heals itself when given the right, yes, medicine, but found in nature. Medicine found in nature is what our bodies were designed. So again, I repeat, I love doctors, especially the ones that get out of the medical field and start to study real medicine found in nature. That's the real true science that heals.
Exactly.
Not the drug industry, not the big pharmaceutical industry, not the makers of the vaccinations, not Merck, not any of these who do not have yours and my best interest at heart.
No,
all they have at heart is their deep pockets, because the love of money
they also for an example too, if you talk about scripture, you'll see where Paul was the only doctor that they talk about in scripture. He ended up writing 3/4 of the Bible. He stopped practicing medicine, meaning medicine in the sense of anything, and he followed the Lord. And the Lord never needed a doctor to produce a miracle. Okay,
and that's he is the almighty physician.
He is the almighty physician, but exactly what you're saying is that when he said that laughter is as medicine, or no, the sick, the healthy don't need a doctor, but or physician, the sick do. But yes, that's what they did. Herbs and it
Correct.
wasn't pharmakia. Pharmakia actually means sorcery.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
So and that's not helping people.
This is the thing. So, nature does provide everything that we need, and essential oils, herbs, whole foods. God is so brilliant that he actually put the medicine right inside the food. So when we hear the word medicine and we refer to, like, some people will say, oh, well, there was medicine in the Bible because they saw the word medicine in the Bible, or the word medicinal, but it's not the same big pharma drug industry type of medicine. We didn't even have that back then in ancient and biblical times. That's why people have to understand how to differentiate between, medicine in the Bible, which was herbs and food, the food that that we need to consume, I should say, versus the big pharma, drug industry medicine. That's totally different modalities. And you're dealing with allopathic drugs in the pharmaceutical industry, and you're dealing with nature-made medicine. So it's still medicine, but it's not the medicine that people are used to today. And that I need to clarify.
Absolutely. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed this today. Like I said, I'm going to be premiering this off of YouTube. Punish the number 4, protecting, punish for protecting. We're phasing out, and we have some major plans coming up ahead, which I'll share. I'll be doing a live coming up soon with Robert, and we'll be talking about a new event coming up that he's got underway. So please stay tuned. Please, guys, it's important. I need you to double check. I was censored quite a bit, so I need you guys to please go to where there's a prompt on Facebook that will say under your friends portion. I believe it's under the profile picture, and there you can hit see first and turn on notifications so you don't miss a live. I'm not doing as many as I used to do, but I will be doing them. And then we also are on the YouTube channel as well, punish the number 4 protecting, so you guys don't miss a live interview or something. I have really good news coming up, which I will not share just yet, but I have a surprise interview that'll be coming up very soon. I'm very excited about it. Somebody who is very, very wide awake, and you'll all be very appreciative of this live. So, just be sure to hit see first, and to hit to turn on your notifications, and to check it every once in a while, because Facebook has a way of censoring. Toni, go ahead.
Yes, I just wanted to mention one last thing to the viewers, if that's okay, if we have enough time to do so. Just a minute or two.
Sure.
I just wanted to give them a little bit of nutrition advice for those that are interested in starting to build, they're interested in getting healthier. They want to start to build wellness in their body. So I would like you to, if you get some notepads out, just take a little bit of notes on this. You can rewind this later and watch it. But I'm just going to give you a couple of very simple and easy principles to get started if you haven't started already. So drinking more pure water is the most simple thing, rather than drinking Gatorade or drinking, refined sodas or any kind of, this is all unhealthy. These are artificial. Gatorade is full of carcinogens, believe it or not. There's nothing hydrating about it. So you would like to, kind of get rid of that and start drinking pure water. You can infuse it with fresh fruit. You can cut up fresh fruit, fresh herbs. There's actually water infusions recipes in both of my books. So you can look at that, but you can put strawberries, you can put fresh mint in your water, cucumber slices to make it more flavorful, and it enhances all the ecology of organisms into your water. So you're getting a double whammy when it comes to nutrition by just drinking infused water. Organic herbal teas are very important. Raw honey, totally raw honey is a great antimicrobial food. So you might want to write that down, start consuming raw honey. Raw honey actually helps you sleep better if you're having sleep issues, whereas it helps in it excrete the sleep hormones, which is tryptophan and melatonin. You just take some raw honey off the spoon at night before bed. It'll actually help you sleep better because it helps with your sleep hormones. Again, tryptophan and melatonin, rather than taking something to do that. Honey will do it, but honey is like a multivitamin when it's in its raw form. Right. There's iron and all your B vitamins and inositol, niacinamide, folate, all the B1, B6, B5, B12, everything that you need for energy and good digestion and healthy bones. Plus it's loaded with protein, believe it or not. And even if you're diabetic, there's lots of fiber in honey, so it slows down the glycemic index. So honey is really a superfood. I encourage you to start eating more raw honey. Just make sure it's both raw and organic. Local does not mean raw. Local does not mean organic. You want to make sure that your honey is both raw and organic. Zinc is really important. Zinc is extremely important for enhancing the immune system. A whole food zinc versus a synthetic zinc is not going to become toxic. It's not going to deplete your body of copper or anything that you've been told. When you consume whole food vitamin supplements, your body recognizes them as food because they are food, and they will enhance immune function rather than cause toxicity on the liver and other organ systems of the body when they're in their synthetic form. So whole food zinc, whole food supplementation, you can find a lot of these on my Toni Jean approved online health food store. It's tonijeanapproved.com. Eating more organically grown fruits and vegetables are extremely critical. Something as simple as eating organic fruits and vegetables can actually enhance your immune system, get rid of heavy metals out of your liver, and start getting well. If you're a meat eater, make sure your meat is grass-fed. Your fish is wild caught with skins and fat, scales and fins. I kind of said that backwards. Chickens should be pasture raised, like grazing on pasture. So they should be raised on pasture. Again, fresh water. Coconut water is extremely important because it hydrates the cells. Fresh raw juices as opposed to stored juices, much better because you're actually calming down your digestive system, which is the most overworked system in the human body. And that's why people are sick, because their digestion is on overload from eating all the things that they shouldn't be eating. That overwork of digestion is suppressed, and the juice just travels into your bloodstream, importing nutrients into your cells, exporting toxins out of your body. And it's a great way to give your body a rest. God bless you all. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. And thank you, Fran, for having me this evening.
Toni, it was a pleasure having you on. Again, that's my sister, Toni Jean Kulpinski. Toni, can you just do us one last favor? Just hold up your books and tell people where they can get your best-selling books.
So they're probably going to be back right now because of the fact that I don't
it's harder to get
backwards. So this is Stop Battling Disease and Start Building Wellness, Your Guide to Extraordinary Health. This is my second installment in my Stop Battling Disease series. Same name, but it's Your Guide to Extraordinary Meals, the cookbook. Both books in chapter 1 tell my personal story, how I went from very sick to extraordinarily healthy and stayed that way. I'm working on my third installment, which is Stop Battling Disease and Start Building Wellness, Your Guide to Extraordinary Pet Care, because I also have a great love for animals. And I'm going to stop when the Lord tells me to stop, but I'm on a mission to transform the health of this nation and world with the truth revealed in God's medicine cabinet, not the pharmaceutical industry. Build your immune system by what you eat. These books can be found on Amazon.com and or my personal website, ToniJeanApproved.com.
All right. Well, thank you again. It was great having you on. I think that a lot of people got a lot of questions answered that they may have had or have asked in the past. Now you know. So Thanks again for being here, everybody. Thanks for watching. Share this like wild, and God bless you all, and thanks for being here. Bye.